So as you can see, I'm not wearing contact lenses, but there's a bit of a story there. So I tried them in the opticians and they felt obviously weird because I'd never worn them before, but they also felt like a bit blurry in one eye. And the optician lady said, don't worry, it always takes a while to get used to these. But I brought my free pack home and I've tried them a couple of times and it's still really blurry in one eye, just my left eye. So I checked the prescription and it looks right. But I phoned them up and had a chat, and they said, yeah, it sounds like, even though the prescription is right, it sounds like maybe we need to tweak it somehow. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Presumably they need to order a slightly different prescription for one eye than for the other, which is kind of weird, but so be it. So I'll have to wait until they get some different prescription lenses and then try them again. So I'm not entirely convinced it's going to be for me, but I'm willing to give it another go and see. And it was pretty nice, you know, wearing them. It's not as sharp focus as it is wearing glasses, but I can see the benefit of not having frames stuck on your face all the time. So I'll give it another go. See them running away. I spooked them now. Hopping over the fence. Go on, last one. There he goes. So just going into the dark wood here, you can feel the temperature drop. It's amazing how just going into the shadows, you can feel it plummet. It's still pretty nice though. So I was just driving home and I was looking at the cars coming towards me, and as usual, I started thinking about their number plates. Now, I don't know whether anybody else thinks this. There's probably very few people in the country think these kinds of things. But if you've got a background in Semitic languages, in Arabic, in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Syriac, then you'll be familiar with the triliteral root system, which is basically that in those languages, um, the roots of words have three letters. So, for example, the three letters M, L, K signify anything to do with ruling, kingship. Um, and so you can form from those three letters either nouns or verbs or adjectives, depending on the kind of vowels that you put in between the consonants or sort of endings or prefixes. And so when I'm driving along the road, here in the UK, number plates, the last three letters are often just slightly separated off to the right. And I often see triliteral roots from Semitic verbs in number plates. And it's what I'm thinking about when I'm driving. There can't be too many people who do that. So it's just one of those little quirky little things. And when I think about that, I'm often reminded of one of the most important books in my life, which, no, it's not the book I'm writing, at least not yet. It was a book called Forgotten Scripts by Cyrus H. Gordon. I always remember his name. It's been with me my whole life, I think. I read it when I was about 14 or 15. And it's shaped a lot of my life. It shaped what I studied at university. It's shaped the way I think about language and philology. I've always preferred the word philology to, um, linguistics. I've never liked the word linguistics, but philology, the love of language. That's that's what I think I have. But yeah, Cyrus H. Gordon. So he wrote this book, Forgotten Scripts, where he goes through all of the different scripts that were deciphered and how they were discovered. He himself, I think, discovered how to understand Old Persian, I think it was. But he goes through Egyptian, the different languages like Akkadian and Babylonian, and he talks about all of the famous scholars who were important in those discoveries. Um, and there's one passage in particular where he says at college, at university, he learned that he could teach himself any language just by getting hold of a basic grammar and a dictionary and finding a novel, something that he really wanted to read in that language. And he said, if you go through the first 100 pages of any of these books, and you look up every single word and you religiously read the grammar, then after that first 100 pages, with the help of a dictionary, you can basically read the rest of that book. And he said by the end of his summer, even though he clearly didn't do anything else, he applied himself to, I think, 6 different languages. And he took reading exams in all of them at the end. You know, it was a whole selection like Italian and Spanish and Greek and other things. And he passed all the exams. So it sounds like he didn't have a lot of fun that summer, but it certainly helped his CV. I love being in the forest just as the sun is going down. It's so nice. I'll let you see what it's like up here. Look. And so when I was thinking about Cyrus Gordon, I was also thinking how I think amazed he would have been as anybody from the early 20th century um, in the advancements of artificial intelligence, but in particular how useful it would have been to those people who were slaving away with their dictionaries and encyclopedias and lists of inscriptions. And I'm just wondering, you know, what impact AI will have on the decipherment of ancient texts. I was thinking about Linear A and Linear B, those strange Greek texts, and maybe, you know, AI will be absolutely no use whatsoever, because one of the problems with some of those ancient texts that have not yet been deciphered is we simply don't have enough of them. The actual amount of text that we have in those inscriptions is so small that even running AI through it, looking for patterns, is not necessarily going to find what we're looking for. But it's also slightly disturbing because the ability to look at great swathes of information and detect patterns is one of the things that kind of makes us human. It's the characteristic of being human, seeing patterns in things that don't necessarily jump out to other people. So in many ways, it would be absolutely amazing if somebody were to use AI and decipher Linear A. I can't remember whether it's Linear A or Linear B that's been deciphered. One of them, I think, has been partially deciphered, and the other one remains obscure. So in some ways, it would be amazing if suddenly we could reveal what these things said. Although, knowing history, it would probably be someone's shopping list from 4,000 years ago, wouldn't it? You know, please get avocados and some eggs. But in other ways, it would be a bit of a disappointment if it were not a brilliant brain like Champollion or or others, but some computer that worked out what these things meant. That would be quite disappointing. Whenever I get to a crossing point, and here I go again, I'm thinking of those triliteral roots. I always think of the verb avara, ayin beit resh in Hebrew, which is a verb that means to cross. And in fact, some say it's the origins of the word Hebrew, ivrit, meaning the people who moved from one place to another during the Exodus. But yeah, it's just one more route that I think about while I'm on my route. So I was thinking I should probably give you an update on my book to tell you how it's going. Well, I'm still around about 225 pages. The number doesn't seem to be increasing because a lot of the work that I've been doing in it is just sorting out the sequencing, tweaking, adding details, making sure that there's consistency throughout. Um, and it's really tricky, you know, even though I'm not using complicated language, it's not a piece of literature. It's really just some simple story. But even still, you know, making sure that it's all consistent and that it makes sense, that everything tallies, is a real piece of work. And I think what I'm finding challenging, but also really, really exciting about it, is trying to tie up loose ends in the story. So I'm constantly thinking of things that I created in the plot that are sort of dangling out there, just details that aren't connected to other things in the story. And I'm trying to work out how to weave them back in so they are connected. Um, And that's not always easy to do. My old Latin tutor at university used to call these things a monkey on a stick. And for about a year, I had no idea what he was talking about. He would look at my Latin translations and say, "What's that? It's a monkey on a stick." And I think I finally understand what he means. It's something that doesn't quite fit with the rest of the text. It's something that's been added, some piece of writing which is perhaps a detail that's not referenced anywhere else in the book, which kind of needs just to be tied back to something else in the storyline to make it whole. So there you go. I'm collecting monkeys on a stick. That's what I've been up to. Keeps me busy.